Welcome to the Robert Judat podcast.
A company you've probably never heard of knows more about you than Google or Facebook ever will. Palantir Technologies has quietly become one of the most powerful surveillance platforms on Earth, with access to everything from your local police department's crime data to the Pentagon's most classified intelligence. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on this secretive $90 billion giant, how it started, how its technology actually works, and why its future could reshape the balance between security and privacy forever. By the end of this episode, you'll understand what makes Palantir so different from every other tech company and why that difference matters for all of us. Let me hand this over to someone who's been tracking Palantir's evolution for years. What exactly is this company that most people have never heard of?
Palantir is probably the most misunderstood tech company in existence. According to research from Temple University and UT Austin, it's among the most secretive and understudied surveillance firms globally. But here's what's wild. They're not actually a data company, even though everyone thinks they are. They had to explicitly state this twice because of constant misidentification.
Wait, not a data company? But they're literally known for data analytics and surveillance.
Exactly the misconception. What Palantir actually is, according to their own documentation, is an AI-native operating system that connects scattered enterprise apps, organizes the data coming from them, and helps teams make decisions in one place. Think of it less like Google collecting your data and more like the nervous system that connects all the different parts of a massive organization.
That's a fascinating distinction. So how did this company even come to exist? What's the origin story here?
The story starts with what's called the PayPal Mafia. After PayPal sold to eBay for $1.5 billion in 2002, this group of entrepreneurs went on to found Tesla, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Palantir. Peter Thiel was the driving force behind Palantir's creation, and his experience at PayPal was crucial.
What was it about PayPal that influenced Palantir?
At PayPal, they developed this sophisticated fraud detection system nicknamed Igor to combat cyber attacks from organized crime groups like the Russian Mafia. It relied on human analysts working alongside software to identify patterns in massive datasets. Thiel saw this approach could be scaled to address much bigger challenges.
And then 9/11 happened.
Exactly. According to the research, Palantir was founded in the aftermath of September 11th, amid widespread recognition that intelligence failures weren't caused by lack of data or algorithms, but by an inability to integrate information across fragmented systems and organizations. The founding insight was institutional, not technical.
So Thiel saw an opportunity to adapt PayPal's fraud detection approach to national security?
Right. He envisioned a tool that could, quote, reduce terrorism while preserving civil liberties. And here's a fun detail. He named the company after the Seeing Stones from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Even their office locations have Tolkien names: the Shire in Palo Alto, Rivendell in McLean, Virginia, and Grey Havens in London.
That's such a telling detail about their culture. A fitting metaphor for a company designed to provide clarity in a chaotic world. So who did Thiel bring together to build this?
He assembled Nathan Gettings, a PayPal engineer, and Stanford students Joe Lonsdale and Stephen Cohen. Then, in 2004, Alex Karp joined as CEO, a former Stanford law colleague of Thiel's with a PhD in philosophy and, according to reports, a knack for unconventional thinking.
A philosophy PhD running a tech company. That's definitely unconventional. So they founded it in 2003, but how did it actually work? What made their technology different?
This is where it gets really interesting. At the core of Palantir's technology is something called the ontology. And this isn't just a fancy database. According to their platform documentation, the ontology is designed to represent the decisions in an enterprise, not simply the data.
Decisions, not data. What does that actually mean in practice?
Think about it this way. Every organization faces the challenge of executing the best possible decisions in real time while dealing with constantly changing conditions. Palantir breaks every decision down into three components: data, logic, and actions. What are the relevant facts? What are the business rules and guardrails? And how does the decision actually manifest in the world?
So it's like they're building a decision-making framework, not just analyzing information.
Exactly. And this is powered by what they call an AI mesh that can deliver everything from LLM-powered web applications to mobile apps using vision language models to edge applications with localized AI. They have four main platforms: Gotham for intelligence and military use, Foundry for commercial data operations, Apollo for software deployment, and AIP for AI integration.
That's a lot of moving parts. But here's what I'm curious about. How do they actually implement this in the real world? Because from what I understand, they don't just sell software and walk away.
This is probably the most fascinating part of how Palantir operates. They use what are called forward deployed engineers, or FDEs. And according to analysis from Medium, these aren't consultants or sales engineers in the traditional sense.
What makes them different?
FDEs are actually Palantir's primary product discovery and product formation mechanism. They embed directly inside client organizations and build systems that work under real operational conditions. Early Palantir customers, intelligence agencies, defense organizations, law enforcement, had data distributed across incompatible systems, workflows that were human and political, and requirements that changed constantly.
So they couldn't just sell software to these organizations.
Exactly. There was no greenfield deployment, no clean data model, and no tolerance for platforms that required users to adapt their workflows to fit the product. Palantir had to embed itself inside these institutions and build systems that actually worked under real operational conditions.
That explains why they're so different from typical SaaS companies, but it also explains why they're so controversial. Let's talk about that. What are the main concerns people have about Palantir?
The controversies are significant. According to Forbes reporting, Palantir has been criticized for its involvement in expanding government surveillance through AI and facial recognition systems. Critics have raised concerns about contracts with the Trump administration that enable deportations of undocumented immigrants and aggregation of sensitive data on Americans.
And there are more recent controversies too, right?
Yes. According to Forbes defense analyst William Hartung, at the height of the Israeli bombing campaign in Gaza in January 2024, CEO Alex Karp held the company's board meeting in Tel Aviv to show solidarity with the Israeli war effort. Some current and former employees consider recent deals a violation of ethical applications of AI.
That's pretty bold positioning. What about the governance structure? I've heard there are some unusual aspects there.
According to Bloomberg reporting, Palantir's corporate governance grants its co-founders, Alex Karp, Peter Thiel, and Stephen Cohen, 49.99% of the company's voting power through a special class of shares. This supervoting control ensures major decisions are steered by the founders, often at the expense of shareholder input.
So they maintain almost complete control even as a public company.
Right. And this becomes more concerning as Palantir's software becomes increasingly embedded in critical U.S. government functions, including the IRS, CDC, and Department of Defense. There are questions about accountability when a private company with concentrated founder control has this much influence over government operations.
Let's talk numbers for a second. How big has this company actually become?
The numbers are staggering. According to Wikipedia, Palantir had revenue of $4.48 billion in 2025, with net income of $1.63 billion. But here's what's really striking. According to financial analysis, the company has a market capitalization that soared past $90 billion as of 2025, and their stock valuation is about 100 times their 2025 revenue.
100 times revenue? That's an incredibly high valuation.
It reflects aggressive growth assumptions amid macroeconomic and geopolitical uncertainties. Their customer base includes federal agencies, state and local governments, international organizations, and private companies like Morgan Stanley, Airbus, and Fiat Chrysler. Gotham is one of only 5 offerings the U.S. Department of Defense authorized for mission-critical national security systems.
So they've become deeply embedded in both government and corporate infrastructure. But what does academic research tell us about their actual impact?
Academic research is limited, which is part of the problem. According to researchers from Temple University and UT Austin, the number of academic studies about Palantir's organization and software can literally be counted on one hand. They analyzed 155 of Palantir's patents from 2006 to 2019, consisting of over 2.5 million words.
What did they find in those patents?
The research revealed how Palantir plans and imagines its surveillance capabilities. But here's what's concerning. Despite accusations of human rights violations from Amnesty International for targeting parents and caregivers of unaccompanied migrant children, and links to NSA surveillance operations through the Snowden revelations, there's been remarkably little independent academic scrutiny.
That lack of transparency is troubling. So, looking forward, what are the main arguments on both sides about Palantir's future impact?
On the positive side, according to analysis from data science journalist Erica Barker, Palantir was created to modernize intelligence operations using AI and software, aiming to streamline processes, reduce human error, and increase transparency. They developed what they call transparent surveillance, with strict audit trails and civil liberties protections.
And they even employ ethicists to oversee product development, right?
Yes, according to the research. CEO Alex Karp, who was initially a socialist, shifted his views to advocate for strong American military technology, seeing it as essential for protecting liberal democracies from authoritarian threats. The argument is that this technology can be a force for good in national security.
But there's a flip side to that argument.
Absolutely. The research explores the dual nature of Palantir's power, its potential for good in national security versus the risk of enabling a surveillance state. As Palantir's influence expands, so does the debate about concentration risk, where a single entity holds immense power over critical national functions.
Concentration risk. That's a really important concept. What does that look like in practice?
Think about it. Palantir's software is embedded in the IRS, CDC, Department of Defense, and multiple police departments. If one private company with concentrated founder control has this much influence over government operations, what happens to democratic accountability? What happens if their interests diverge from public interests?
And we're seeing some of that tension play out in real time with their controversial international contracts.
Exactly. The research concludes that the future of surveillance power in democracies hinges not just on technological safeguards, but on robust democratic governance and constant vigilance against the misuse of powerful tools. The technology itself isn't inherently good or bad, it's about how it's governed and controlled.
That brings up an interesting point about the broader implications. We're not just talking about one company here, are we? This is about a whole new model of how technology companies can embed themselves in government and society.
That's exactly right. According to the medium analysis, Palantir represents something completely new, neither a traditional SaaS company nor a services-led platform business. Their forward-deployed engineer model and deep institutional embedding could become a template for how other tech companies approach government and enterprise markets.
Which makes understanding Palantir even more important, because they might be showing us the future of tech-government relationships.
Absolutely. And with their market cap over $90 billion and deep embedding in critical infrastructure, they're not going anywhere. The question is whether we can develop the governance frameworks to ensure this power is used responsibly.
So when you step back from all this, the secretive origins, the unique technology, the controversial contracts, the governance concerns, what's the big picture here? What should people understand about Palantir's role in our world?
Palantir represents both the promise and the peril of our data-driven age. They've created genuinely innovative technology that can solve complex problems and potentially save lives. But they've also concentrated enormous surveillance power in the hands of a few individuals with limited accountability. The company embodies this fundamental tension we're grappling with as a society.
And that tension isn't going away anytime soon. If anything, it's going to intensify as AI becomes more powerful and more pervasive.
Exactly. What makes Palantir so important to understand is that they're not just building surveillance tools, they're building the infrastructure for AI-driven decision-making across government and enterprise. That's either going to make our institutions more effective and responsive, or it's going to concentrate power in ways that undermine democratic governance.
And the outcome depends on choices we make now about oversight, transparency, and accountability. Palantir's story isn't over. In many ways, it's just beginning.
The seeing stones of Tolkien's world could reveal truth or deceive, depending on who was looking through them and what they chose to see.
Thanks for joining us on Copilot Podcasts. The next time you hear about government surveillance or corporate data analytics, remember there's probably a company you've never heard of making it all possible. And understanding how that power works is the first step toward ensuring it serves us, rather than the other way around.